Guys, happy Monday. I'm just going to set up on Facebook and Instagram. It just takes a second to connect. So if you're tuning in on YouTube or LinkedIn, just give me a moment. And we're good on Facebook here. And now we'll go live on Instagram as well. Okay, we should be good. I think we're live everywhere. Perfect. Great, guys. So happy Monday. I hope you all had an awesome weekend. And for those of you who are in the States, I know it was what, 10 days ago now, not 10 days, but like, it was a while ago, but I hope you all had a wonderful Thanksgiving weekend. It was last weekend, not this past weekend, last weekend. So just crazy that we're already almost mid-December and it's full on holiday season now, right? So I'm wearing red for that reason today. And today I want to do a super in-depth but quick training so that it's actionable for you. You're able to take things that you could easily implement in terms of navigating this holiday season. So if you're tuning in and you want to learn how to eat, how to travel, how to celebrate over the holidays without having to feel like you're starting over in January, this is going to be for you. If every December feels like you feel more tired or, just puffier, more inflamed, maybe noticing more cravings and just feeling less like yourself, it's not because you suddenly, lost all of your discipline this month. And it doesn't mean that you need to pause everything throughout this month. It's your biology responding to the chaos that December and this time of the year naturally brings. And in this training, I'm not gonna recommend like surface level things, like just, add more protein or eat more veggies, up your fiber, get your steps in, prioritize sleep. But we're really gonna be talking about how to support your body like the high performing system that it is. Okay, so that this way you could enjoy yourself throughout the holidays. You could have even more energy, and be able to keep up and feel good in your clothes. And the reason why I created this training is because I noticed that a lot of women in our community, we have, quite a few women in our community who have, just said, like, I want to know how to go about if I'm hosting or if I'm traveling, if I'm, again, like there's a lot of holiday parties, right? How do I go about this? And I also base this on what a few of you had voted in on our Facebook community. You had all voted a couple of things. So top things that you want me to share or want help with were supporting your hormones under stress, staying on track while traveling, managing cravings, and just maybe perhaps more tendencies of like emotional eating for some of you, and healthy holiday swaps. So before we dive into all of that, if you're new here, if you're tuning in on Instagram, and if I'm looking this way, it's because I'm looking at those on Instagram, and for the rest of you on YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, if you're new here and we haven't met yet, I'm Alexis. I'm a biologist and founder of Flexus Fitness. And the way I think about things is a bit different than the typical hormone talk that you see out there, especially nowadays. I don't just talk about hormones in terms of like this mysterious villain. I really look at how your whole body is communicating, starting at the most fundamental cellular level. So think of your cells as like your email inbox, and your hormones are the emails, they're the messengers. And if we're not supporting your body at the cellular level, if the inbox gets overwhelmed or gets chaotic, like during the holidays, the messages get messy, right? The hormones can't land. So what myself and my team focus on is really helping you clean up those signals. And this way your body can simply respond to respond properly again, right? And I'm going to walk you through a really simple holiday game plan today, something that I personally keep in mind for myself throughout this time of the year, that we, help our clients with. But I'm also going to explain how I go about thinking about it, because that is something that you could always take for yourself, right? When we understand the why and how to go about it, you're able to easily implement it for yourself. So if you're joining in, now that I did my whole spiel there, a couple of you had a chance to join in. If you're joining in, comment below. Let me know if you could see me and where you're watching from, and we're going to go right into it. We're going to hop right into it. So first things first is what's actually happening in your body throughout December. Okay. So A lot of women tend to feel like, again, this time of the year, their body is misbehaving, right? And most advice at this time of the year stops at, just try not to stress, or don't overeat, focus on moderation, focus on balance. What does that even mean, right? And if we go one step deeper, in December, there's three big levers that can really change at the same time. So stress goes up naturally, right? So cortisol, or stress, one of our stress hormones, goes up because there's a lot going on. Um, Sleep can also go down, or sleep quality can be impacted just because, again, your routine looks a little different, or you know your sleep schedule's off, whatever the case. When sleep goes down, hunger and cravings can rise. And another big thing is routine kind of just disappears, or it's, again, like there's less of a predictable routine, right? Your body loses predictability. And here's the thing, our bodies and us as humans in general just love predictability, right? Our bodies especially love predictable signals. And this time of the year is literally the opposite of that for most of us. So what your biology does is what it's supposed to do at this time of the year, right? It slows down. I'm just realizing that my mic should be this way. Sorry, guys. Hopefully the audio wasn't too bad there. So what your body does is what your biology does to protect you at this time of the year is it naturally could slow down digestion. It might be holding on to more water. It might increase cravings, push you towards quick energy sources when you're tired. And it's not because your body wants you to be, wants you to go into a bigger pan size, but it's really very much from a survival standpoint. And your body thinks, okay, like there's a lot going on. We're under pressure. I better conserve and try to keep her alert, her as in you, right? Your body. So one of our client Sarah used to say, like, I gain 5 pounds every December. It's just what happens. It's just this time of the year. And then it kind of just stacks up year after year when she first came to us. And when we actually looked at what was going on, what actually changed was she was having later nights. She was having those little, more little bites and no real meals throughout her day. Meaning that, like, so once we smoothed out those key pieces, those key signals throughout her day, she couldn't get over of how much better she was feeling. It really, oh, sorry guys, pause during, oh, I think we're reconnecting on Instagram. Sorry. So once we smoothed out some of those key pieces, she, like the first year, she like when she started working with us, she couldn't get over how much, like, she didn't feel swollen, she didn't feel exhausted. And it was just these simple shifts, right? So we adjusted these inputs and how she was going about these things. And that's the biggest thing that I want you to take away from this and from this talk today is remember that your body is never misbehaving. It's really always coming from a place where it's just simply responding to what you're giving it, responding to the inputs, responding to the signals you're giving it. And your body is always coming from a place of trying to protect you. So even if it feels like it's fighting against you, we're always in control of the inputs that we could give it to get around that, right? So if we change the inputs a little, the output changes a lot. So now if we were I'm sorry if it's really, I think it's still frozen on Instagram. Hopefully you guys, it looks okay on my end on Facebook, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube, but hopefully it's not freezing on me. So but anyways, so your holiday game plan right now is, and this is why most women, I'm gonna actually stop it on Instagram. Okay. Sorry guys. I'll go live on Instagram after. But your holiday game plan right now, and most women get stuck in this all or nothing type of thinking, right? It's either like, screw it, it's the holidays, I'll get my act together come January, or, I need to be strict with everything else I'm going to lose all my progress, right? A lot of women fall on either side of that whatever, right? Like either side of that seesaw, right? So we're not doing that, right? I want you to think of this as your B minus holiday system. Okay. So we're not aiming for an A plus plan that you're not going to realistically be able to follow during this time of the year. Just think of it as your B minus holiday system. And we're going to use three pieces. So I want you to think about anchoring your meals, resetting your mornings, and using your next 24 hours as a reset after bigger days. Bigger days, which I mean is like, Christmas, if you celebrate Christmas, Hanukkah, if you celebrate Hanukkah, if you're just these bigger events, if you have a holiday party and the next day you feel a bit sluggish, these are things that you're going to be able to do. So each one is doing a very specific job for your hormones. So first things first is here at Flexus Fitness, like we like to think of your meals as anchors, not rules. So instead of thinking about good or bad food, I want you to anchor your meals versus the chaos. Okay. So we're aiming for like 2 to 3 real meals per day, not snacking, not, grabbing things like a quick protein bar, nothing like that. 2 to 3 real meals per day that follow a simple formula. So we want one palm of protein. So one hand, at least one palm of protein, which is about 30-ish grams. Our hands are, it depends on like the size of you, like our hand, it makes sense. Trust me, there is science behind this. We use this with all of our clients. So one palm of protein, one fist of veggies, minimum one fist. If you add more, great. Veggies in our mind are unlimited. 1 cupped hand of starch, so carbs, and 1 thumb of fats, which with fats, it could be like if you're using olive oil, it can be hard to gauge, nut butter, but it's about 1 tablespoon. So why this matters on a biological level is because protein and fat together are going to help slow down digestion, meaning that your energy, your blood sugar isn't going to spike and crash as much. Veggies and fiber are just really, really important for supporting your gut. So that leads to less inflammation, again, better digestion. And carbs remind your body that you're not in danger. So carbs are our main energy source. If you go too low carb, if you skip carbs, like that's where it actually increases the stress response, your stress signals on your body. So we want to make sure, and this is something that I've noticed over the last 10 years of being in the health and wellness space, is most women come from a place of always trying to control their behavior. And that is something that we focus on, like, changing your habits, your behaviors to make sure that things stick. But I recommend that you start with looking at the inputs so your behavior doesn't feel like a fight. Because if you're constantly just telling yourself like, oh, I should be doing this, oh, I didn't do that, oh, like, and you're shoulding yourself, then you're never going to actually do the actual behavior. So look at the inputs, focus on those simple inputs. And this is something that we work with a lot of women who come to us is many notice a pattern of like maybe under eating throughout the day and then overeating later, or like overeating and then, or emotionally eating at night, right? Feeling like they have no willpower at the end of the day. And the problem is never willpower. It's normal. Like willpower does dip by the end of your day because you're making thousands of decisions throughout your day. But when we look at your overall pattern throughout the day, we notice that the inputs are all over the place. So if you're having no breakfast or a late breakfast, or you're skipping lunch, or you're snacking and you're on go, go, go mode, you're running on fumes, it's no wonder that by the time you're home from work, you get home, you settle, that you might feel out of control. So if you notice this about yourself too, especially during the holidays, you want to anchor yourself with these, again, the little framework that I gave you, those 2 to 3 actual meals. And that will, they're like, if you notice yourself like low energy, cravings, and it kind of just hits you, that's not a character flaw. That's, again, your body's not getting the right signals it needs throughout the day. So it's often the side effect of meals throughout your day that aren't anchored for your biology. So that's number one, is anchoring your meals. Number two is, like I was saying before, is resetting your mornings. And what do I mean by this? I'm not talking about like a 2-hour meditation or anything crazy like that. Really, just even if it's like 5 minutes, just to start your day less reactive, right? And that way you're starting off your day in a more responsive state. So most high performing women that I know and that we speak to and that we help often wake up and go straight into performance mode. And guys, I'm guilty of this too. Okay. So, and I've had to put, I've had to engineer my environment, let's just say that, so that I don't fall into that. So oftentimes it looks like coffee, looking at your phone, looking at your task list, and it's urgency, urgency, panic, panic. And from a biology standpoint, that looks like, again, you're starting off your day with no fuel. You're already high stress, right? And you're just living off of caffeine. And your nervous system sees that as, okay, we're in a rush, like stay on high alert, let's go. So instead, what I suggest is just this simple shift. And literally, like, this isn't about adding time to your mornings, okay? Like, this is just about having, and again, engineering your environment. So the night before you go to bed, make sure you have a big glass of water on your nightstand. And then what I personally do, so that I don't feel compelled to look at my phone, to check emails, to, you know, get into work mode right away, is I actually charge my phone either in another room, so in my office, or I actually, if I need it, like whatever, like as an alarm clock, or I use an old phone for alarm clock oftentimes, or you can use an old school alarm clock. But if, let's say, I do need it for whatever reason, I'll put it, I'll plug it into an outlet that's further away, so that I have to physically get out of bed and shut off my alarm, whatever the case. But the best way is putting it in another room, because then you wake up with your alarm, or naturally, and you're able to just start your day off in a not so reactive mode, right? So what I like to personally do is, like, again, have my glass of water. I have my little 5-minute journal. Literally 3 to 5 minutes, I'll just jot down like what I'm grateful for. And from there, within 1 to 2 hours of waking up, aim for 25 to 30 grams of protein. Again, one palm. That could be your first real meal within 1 to 2 hours. And the thing is, like, why this is so important is because water and movement, right? If you're able to get in some like stretching or whatever the case, or even some breath work while you're laying down in bed, just that helps to clear out some of the stress chemistry from the night before, and it also helps to just rehydrate your cells. So that's really, really key in order to give you energy for the rest of the day. Light, if you're able, just getting it, just opening up your windows, exposing yourself to some light, that really helps your brain, tell your brain that it's daytime, so that your cortisol could follow a nice healthy pattern instead of just like spiking randomly. So this is really key for energy, cravings, sleep later on in the night. And the earlier you get protein, which is why I'm saying within 1 to 2 hours of waking, is that really helps to stabilize your blood sugar throughout the rest of the day. So that will lead to more steady mood, more steady energy, fewer feelings of like, oh, I need something now, I need food right now. So that's where, like, where we would like to look at it is like how you're starting off your day, because most women, again, try to white knuckle their evening habits. And at that point, your willpower tank is already dropped quite a bit. So we want to focus on how are you getting your day started, front loading that stress regulation, right? So that your nights don't feel like such a battle. And the women that work with us often tell us, like, it wasn't a huge overhaul. I didn't have to change my whole day. I just changed how I was going about the beginning of my day, right? The morning, and the rest felt a lot easier. So again, it's not about having a 45-minute to 2-hour morning routine with a bunch of steps. Your morning isn't about being perfect, but we do want to make sure we're sending the right messages to your body, and make sure that you're not in that go-go mode all day. And the last piece is what I was talking about before, is that 24-hour reset. So what to do after you have like events, parties, traveling. I'm personally, I'm flying out like this afternoon. And like for me, I know tomorrow I need to always come back to my baseline, right? And especially because say it's like I'm working, gonna fly out. Like I still have stuff to pack. It's a bit of a panic mode right now, but I know tomorrow, and this is where a lot of women get stuck, is like they have a big night out or they have a travel day, and the next day becomes either they fall into like more of a punishment mode where they're under eating if they had a big meal the night before, or they feel the need to over exercise to try to burn it off, or they go into screw it mode, right? Like, oh, I messed up last night's meal, or like I messed up yesterday, I'm just gonna write off the whole week because like whatever, I'll just start fresh next week, right? Our biology hates both of those, because what your body wants, especially after events, after travel, after whatever the case, is predictability. So just clear, consistent signals so that your hormones can calm down, your system can come back to baseline. So, with the way that I like to go about it, and with the women that we work with, is especially for those who travel a lot for work, or you're going to travel for family for the upcoming holidays, we like to use the next day to reset, right? So, especially with flights, weekends away, holiday dinners or parties, like the goal in the next day isn't to undo what you did or how your body responded. It's to just recenter. So here's what this looks like is like, again, tomorrow morning, I know for myself, I'm going to need more extra water, just because being on the plane, you hold on to more water. I'm probably going to grab something to eat at the airport just because of my timing today. I'm going to have lunch here, but then dinner or something there. It's probably going to be saltier, right? The food. And then that salt pulls water into tissues and just naturally slows things down. So hydration is really, really key the next day to help flush that, support your nervous system, reduce that puffy, swollen feeling, especially after big meals or, again, being on an airplane. So that's number one, is extra water. Number two is protein forward meals. So we always come back to that simple structure that I mentioned before: protein, veggie, starch, fat. So this tells your body we're fed, we're safe. You don't need to freak out. Protein and fiber are going to help stabilize my blood sugar so that my cravings settle down instead of spiking. And the fiber is also going to help with digestion and getting things moving. The next thing is tomorrow, I'm going to plan some light movement, right? Whether that's a 20 to 30-minute walk, or even just some mobility, maybe exercise stacks throughout the day, things like that, especially after sitting on a plane or in cars. If you're going to be traveling this holiday season, walking is one of the most easiest ways of just like getting your body, like motion is lotion, right? Not just for your joints and all that and relaxing your muscles, but even just to help lower stress, get your blood flowing again, wake up digestion. So one of the easiest things you can do. The fourth thing is I'm gonna go about eating normally tomorrow. I'm not gonna go about, oftentimes for a lot of women is like, if they go off their routine, they get, out of sync, is guilt often leads to like mindless picking all day, right? Coming back to actual meals is going to help give your body those clear signals. So we want to make sure that your hormones are getting those messages. Okay, like we're eating now, we're done now, not constantly snacking throughout the day, which causes even more energy fluctuations and blood sugar fluctuations. And the last thing is, if you can, the next day, try to get to bed a bit earlier, right? If you could swing it, even one decent nights of sleep after a chaotic day really helps just to reset everything. Your hunger hormones, your stress. You'll be able to make better decisions the next day. You'll feel more, clear-headed. So this combo is really like and super simple, right? I didn't add anything. It was just more about like, okay, these are things I'm going to be more intentional about tomorrow. But these things all help to stabilize your blood sugar, stabilize stress, get your digestion moving. It sends your body a clear message, just telling your body, okay, like we're back to baseline. You don't have to go to extremes. Let's just start from here, right? And so many women that we work with, again, who are on planes or stay in hotels for work or bouncing between time zones, they usually come back, before working with us, just feeling like every trip is a setback, and like they're constantly playing catch up. And once we implement this simple reset, this simple framework, travel stops becoming like that on and off switch in their mind, and just something that they know that their body's going to be able to handle, right? So you don't need anything crazy the next day. You don't need to punish yourself. You don't need a detox. You just need clear, repeatable ways that your body can just recenter. And the one thing, again, guys, is like, really, in terms of like on your travel days or whatever, like even after a meal, like just kind of ask yourself, like just have this little checklist. Like, did I get some protein in? Am I getting at least 1 to 2 real meals in? Again, protein, veggies, starch and fat. And am I getting some form of movement? Like the movement, again, doesn't even have to be 20 minutes, even like 5 to 10 minutes of stretching or just breath work or just like band pull parts, like something so simple, just to tell your body that it's like you're getting things going. So, and it also tells your brain too, it just gets your brain in that mind of like, okay, I'm taking action today, and that builds up momentum. So it doesn't have to be anything crazy, just the small steps to get that momentum back on your side. Now I want to make sure that this training isn't going on. I have one last piece of this. I just want to make sure that like it's not a super long training. So there's a lot that I could cover in these trainings, obviously. The last thing that we're going to cover, so part number 3 is just cravings and emotional eating and just holiday swaps. This was a big one that a lot of you asked me to cover. And I want to just dive into more of the mindset around this because again, when you come from a place of how can I support my body best, food choices get easier versus thinking from a place of like food rules and I should or shouldn't be doing this. So that's why in this next part, I'm not going to tell you you need to do this. You don't need to like don't do that. But what a lot of I just want to separate two things because a lot of women like shame themselves when it comes to this. And there's two things. There's your biology and there's your coping patterns. Okay. And when blood sugar is swinging, sleep is off, you're mentally fried, your brain is wired to naturally look for quick relief, quick energy sources. That's not a you problem. That's not lack of discipline. That's not lack of willpower and just the willpower has to come out of nowhere. That's your body trying to self-soothe. Like that's literally how our bodies work. So, big thing that we work on with anybody that we work with is we work on both. We want to work on the biological aspect, but also on the coping patterns, right? And the mindset aspect. So, for cravings and emotional eating, we want to fix the baseline. Like I've been saying this whole talk, if there's one thing that you want to get out of this is eating regularly is the simplest way of fixing that. Okay. So eating enough protein, eating real meals, like don't graze, like, or avoid grazing, getting some degree of sleep and being able to decompress. And when you feel that like strong pull towards food, um, just ask yourself 3 simple questions, really like, am I physically hungry? And the hardest part is finding yourself in that moment, right? In that situation. But if you find yourself, like if you catch yourself in that moment where you're feeling pulled to food and you just, there's no reason why, like you've just eaten and maybe it's just like, oh, I want that Christmas cookie or whatever the case, ask yourself, am I physically hungry? Am I overstimulated? Am I exhausted? Am I looking for something else? Am I stressed out with work? Am I going to this because I'm filling a void somewhere else? Am I looking for comfort? Oftentimes it's one of those 3. If it's hunger, you probably need an actual meal. And there's nothing wrong with eating that cookie, but just don't eat that cookie alone. Okay. If you're actually hungry, tell yourself, you know what, I'm going to have that cookie, but I'm going to pair it with a protein. That way it stabilizes everything. And that way you end up eating, enjoying your cookie, savoring the cookie, but you don't end up eating, the whole tin of cookies type of thing. Right. So that's the first thing. If you're actually hungry, you probably need an actual meal. Give yourself permission to enjoy the cookie, but pair it with something else that's actually going to satiate you. Um, the second thing is if it's exhaustion, sometimes even just like if you catch yourself, you're like, wow, I'm feeling really tired, just grab some water or even just sit there and do a couple of deep breaths because, or even taking a short walk or doing some squats, like getting some movement in. Jumping jacks is my favorite way. Like when I'm in between calls and sometimes I feel that dip like hitting me, I get up, I do some jump jacks, I do some push-ups, and like that just naturally gives me that boost, right? So ask yourself that. And if it's comfort, you could absolutely still choose the food, but now it's a conscious choice. It's not going to be a blur. So you're going to be able to be intentional with it, be mindful with it, right? Versus just like kind of going through it and not realizing that you're in that situation. So we don't fix, um, stress eating, emotional eating by yelling at the behavior. We fix it by calming down the system that's screaming for relief. That's really the key. So that's why like the two work hand in hand. You're fixing like, improving how the biological state, but also the mindset and the coping state, right? The coping mechanism. So, that's a really big one. And lastly, when it comes to holiday swaps, because I know that was a big one for a lot of you, we want to make it intelligent but not joyless. Okay, so I'm not here to ruin your favorite foods or turn your dessert into like a protein sludge. And again, there's nothing wrong with that if that's what you enjoy. But my philosophy, especially during the holidays, is we want to keep the joy and we want to stabilize the biology. There are absolutely certain desserts during this time of the year that are like non-negotiables for me. Like I can't, you know, healthify them, if that's even a word, right? I can't make them healthier. Like for me, it's like, okay, this is like how my grandmother, my Italian nonna, like always made these cookies. Like I'm gonna enjoy them. Like I'm not gonna try to switch the recipe, right? So that might look like, if you know dessert is happening, again, make sure you're pairing it with a meal, having some protein around it instead of just not allowing yourself that dessert. Just how you're going about it, eating it after a meal or eating it with a meal is very much um, better than not than having it on its own. Um, Plating your treats. So making sure that you're plating them instead of picking at them all night. You know, your brain needs that visual cue, that clear start and stop. Also just allows you to be more mindful with it. If you are drinking alcohol, if you do enjoy your alcohol and you're at an event, a simple thing is just altering your alcohol with water. So having, let's say, a glass of wine with water, not to come from a place of trying to be good, but literally to, again, coming from a place of supporting your biology to give your liver and your nervous system a chance to keep up. Okay, so come from that place. Um, if there are veggies or salads that you actually enjoy, right? Add them to your plate. That's like, the fiber is such an easy way of helping with inflammation, digestion, and also helps slow down any sugar hit. So if you are having more sugar, making sure that you're also having fiber. And the last thing is, if you're let's say like throughout the day, you know, you're feeling snacky, even having some dips like hummus or Greek yogurt, you know, you're sneaking in some protein without feeling restricted. So like, let's say you're at, I don't know, like I don't, it's not even really holiday themed, but anyways, let's say you're having like chips and dip, like making sure that the base is like Greek yogurt. It's higher in protein, helps stabilize things. So it's not about like choosing between the fun and feeling good. Your job is just to go about in a way that gets your biology to handle the fun better. So that's really why I like to focus on how to go about it instead of like, don't do this, do that instead. So those are basically, to recap everything. Basically, your body, remember that your body isn't sabotaging you. It's always just responding to the inputs. And if at this time of the year, the inputs are louder, they're a bit messier, your body's going to reflect that. Number two, anchoring your meals is like the simplest way of making sure that you're giving your body that stability, your hormones that stability. So making sure you're aiming for at least 1 to 2 meals throughout the day, minimum, ideally 3, but minimum. And the next thing is, like I said before, that morning, how you're starting off your mornings, right? That could change how your entire day feels. We also talked about that 24-hour reset, right? So the day after. So making sure that after events or travel, snapping out that all or nothing cycle, just returning back to baseline. And then lastly, like we talked about when it comes to cravings, emotional eating, those all make a lot more sense when you come from a place of how could I support my body, right? It's not about relying on willpower. It's not about trying to be good, but how am I going about this to make sure that I'm helping my biology keep up with the everything else that's going on. So this is really how I like to go about it, how I like to think about it. This is how I think about women's health in general. It's not about how little can we, like, how can we go about this in a way that's gonna, you know, how little, like how little can we get away with eating less, you know, but how can we get your body to respond better so that it keeps up with the rest of your life, right? Your body and life are working on the same team. And these are the exact foundations that I use for myself and with the women that we work with who want to feel strong, who want to feel energized, who want to feel comfortable in their clothes without shrinking their life, right? And without, you know, restricting themselves from the food that they enjoy or having to do a bunch of unrealistic workouts, right? So even if you try one of these pieces and notice a shift, I would love to hear it. And if you're in that place right now where, again, like you feel like you're doing a lot of the right things, you're putting in a lot of effort, but your body's just not reflecting that. And you want somebody who's actually, able to look at the full picture: hormones, stress, sleep, nervous system, your training. That's literally what I do all day. So you could always feel free to reach out, send me a message. We could chat more about like what's going on, what might be holding you back. In the meantime, I really hope that this helps you move through the holidays just feeling, more supported by your body and not betrayed by it or not trying to fight it, right? So have a wonderful holiday season. I might go live before Christmas, but if not, I hope you all have a wonderful Christmas. I'm definitely going to be doing a live training about the new year and how to set yourself up for that and how I like to think about intentions versus resolutions. So stay tuned for that. But I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day. Thank you for tuning in, and I'll talk to you guys later. Take care, guys.